incredibly pertinent and timely. She was warned. She was given an explanation. Nevertheless, she persisted. And in that moment, the words, "and nevertheless, she persisted," became a hymn for all of the undone work that we have to do to establish real equality and real fairness in this country and in this state. And let me be clear, this is our work. The grassroots, the labor leadership, the legislators, the women, their partners, the men who love us, our children, the yous, the me's, the rest of the community, this is our work. Because we know 87% of Americans support the fundamental concept that if you do the same job as a man, as a woman, you should be compensated at the same level. It's not complicated. It's fairness. It's equality, period. I'm going to tell you that right now, if we keep going at the rate we are going, and I hear this all the time from folks who say, the market will correct this, the market is correcting this.
In whose lifetime?
Not in my lifetime, over my dead body. It takes 42 years for white women to reach pay equity at the rate right now that that gap is closing. And that might sound like a long time, but our sisters who are African American or Latina, it's an even longer period of time. They will not reach pay equity at the rate the gap is currently closing for another 107 years and 230 years, respectively. We do not have that much time. We are not going to be that patient, period. That's why my bicameral legislative colleagues who are here with me today and I are introducing House and Senate bills and resolutions to demand equal pay, to end wage secrecy, to reward companies that do the right thing by their employees, and to punish those who do not. And that's a start. And so is the fact that 51 of our country's largest and fastest growing companies who have taken pledges to commit to pay equity, including our own Michigan-based General Motors and other large companies like Apple and Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines. That's a start. The path to pay equity is beginning to form. But remember, I'm impatient, and I suspect many of you on these Capitol steps and in the audience in front of us are as well. Our impatience drives us to deliver. It drives us to change the dynamic. It drives us to shine a light on inequality in its many forms, and it compels us to do something about it. I don't want anyone. I don't want the students sitting in the 2 of the 15 public colleges and universities that I represent in my district, the University of Michigan Ann Arbor or Eastern Michigan University in Ypsilanti. I don't want young women in those classes, be they studying a traditionally female-dominated profession like nursing or teaching, or biotechnology or cybersecurity, to have to wait until she's 62 to achieve pay equity with her male counterparts. I know you don't either. That's why we must continue to persist, continue to raise this issue, continue to work, as we do, to deliver on the ideals of a more fair and just economy that will benefit our children and our families. Equality, nothing less, period. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Warren and Representative Geis. I would also like to introduce to you some other legislators that have just joined us. Representative Darren Camilleri, Representative Larry Inman, Representative Scott Dienda, Representative Jewel Jones, Representative Ronnie Peterson.
very exciting news that we have a lot of people and legislators who are absolutely working for us. Let's give them all a huge round of Yeah, thank you so much for your time, your effort, and we really appreciate having you here standing on the steps with us. So it's wonderful. At this time, I'm going to introduce one of our speakers. Cynthia Estrada is a longtime union organizer and social activist who was first elected as the United Auto Workers Vice President in 2010, was re-elected in 2014. She is the first Latina elected to serve as the UAW International Officer. Currently, she leads the General Motors Department and the Women's Department of UAW International. An amazing woman. She's been here before. We've heard her. Pay attention. So with that, Cynthia Estrada.
Good afternoon. First, I want to thank all the men, including my son, Jason White, who's here supporting all of us amazing women. So you deserve a round of applause. So, it is so important what we're here to talk about. I read a statistic the other day that close to 500,000 women are the head of their households. And I recently became a widow, and man, I realized how difficult it is to be a single mother raising 2 children. But what I don't have to do that many, many women in Michigan and across the United States is worry about my paycheck. Because my husband was a union member, retired from the UAW, has a pension. Because I work for the UAW, I have a contract and I have a pension. So I have so many opportunities, and I'm so fortunate I'm very not fortunate, but I'm fortunate to not have to worry about money. But the fear of being a woman raising children alone is unimaginable, and I can't imagine what it's like for so many women who are making 74 cents to every man in the state of Michigan. I can't imagine what it's like to know that if those women had equal pay, they would have 2 more years of food to put on their table for themselves and their families. That they would have 2 years that they could pay for a community college. That's the difference that equal pay means to women, not just in the state of Michigan, but across the country. But we cannot talk about just equal pay if we don't talk about income inequality in this country. When you look at what's happening in the country as a whole, it's to men and women and people. 8 billionaires own half of the global wealth. Think about that. 8 billionaires own half of the global wealth, yet we cannot get equal pay for women. In 25 years, you want to hear a stunning statistic? In 25 years, we will have our first trillionaire. He would have to spend, and I believe it will be a he, will have to spend $1 million a day for 2,700 years to spend that $1 trillion. So we have got to get to the point where we are talking men and women, Latino and Asian and laborer and middle class, whether you're a nurse or a teacher, that what we have in common is that we all need to work together to take care of income inequality. We saw it in the marches that were happening, the Women's March. It was so amazing to see and for my boys to experience that those weren't just women marching. That